Mad Apio was a much discussed topic in the small town of Kati. Maybe because she seemed to have done the things that made Kati known across the country. There was nothing much to see or recount about Kati except Apio, of course. Story had it that she had not always been mad, and that she was not always a native of the town. That could probably account for her rather foreign looks. She was very tall, about 6 feet, which was tall according to Kati standards. For even though the people of Kati were not exactly midgets, they could easily pass for that. She had a high forehead and big luminous eyes. It was said that her eyes altered size according to her mood and also depending on the time of day. It was also said that at night she was indistinguishable from an owl. Come to think of it, there were very strange eyes, not at all like an owl's, if my knowledge of that bird could be trusted. Those eyes, I can see them now very clearly. The whites were extremely white and her pupils floated around like twin beads. In fact, they resembled two black beans floating in an expanse of milk. None could fail to notice those eyes. The other spectacular thing about her were her legs. They seemed to go on and on. They looked like two endless poles, although watching her move, they could pass for four wheels. She used them very quickly and deftly. We stood before the restaurant looking it over. Very murky, BTA pronounced. Yes, I cut in. Rather like the 2000 promises to be murky, with lots of warped minds milling about. Well, I suppose things have a right to be what they are. Oh, please, Betty pleaded. Do not start on that rights issue of yours. Not now, at least. Let us sit and have a rest from this unbearable heat and then talk about Apio. Suddenly, the subject of Mad Apio loomed large on Betty's mind. She was curious and wanted to know more to fit in the pieces of this puzzle called Apio. We settled down at a table nearest the door in a bid to catch some fresh air. Fans were unheard of in this part of the world, but no one fainted for lack of them, so they were not mentioned or bought. It was rumored that growing up in the hot sun made one oblivious of petty discomforts and that it conditioned one to accept even the heaviest of burdens as if it were a light load. It seemed that we had not had enough of the sun's heat because we were soon arguing with the waitresses about unboiled water and unprotected wells. The woman's pupils dilated in surprise as if she thought we would soon be demanding to inspect the kitchen. All the same, she assured us that the water was boiled and kept in clean pots as she served passion juice to us. Betty toyed with her mug and said, "Tell me about Apio. We do not have much time to spare. Why does everyone think she's mad anyway?" I searched Betty's face, make sure she was serious. I then asked, "Do you mean to tell me, Betty, that you do not know what distinguishes a mad person from the normal? Anyway, where do you want me to begin? I could spend a fortnight on Apio's story." I hear it started with her father, who on seeing her peculiar eyes named her Bell Eyes. He was convinced that his daughter's eyes said more than her mouth. You know for a fact how one's name decides one's fate in many ways. Thus, Apio's eyes have been the center of many a story. Well, since we have limited time, I will tell you just the highlights of the woman's life. I will start with the part when she was at university. Did you know she did a bachelor's of languages, or rather half of it? She was discontinued before she completed the degree. That is a story on its own, and I will not deal with it here. But anyway, the story goes that Apio, who was already considered odd, became increasingly strange. She was, as a consequence, involved in some incidents that almost made her a legend. The most entertaining one was when she attended a graduation dance and after a while went outside to catch some air. She ended up falling in an uncovered septic tank. It is said that half of her was covered in sewage, but she never called for help. No one was even sure of how she got out of such a deep hole. The story got around and excited all the boys who started calling her Septic Apio. One particular boy, a well-known bully, taunted her about this so much that Apio decided to fix him. She called him to a wrestling match and made sure that all the students got to know about it. The boy declined, giving the reason that it was not proper to fight a woman. If you will not fight a woman, why then do you call this woman names? She challenged. All right, I will not fight with you. I will beat you up. True to her word, she sprang onto the boy in the quadrangle of his hall of residence and gave him a thorough whipping. The other boys just stood around cheering her on and chanting, Apio, our man, you are tough. After this incident, the nickname was never heard of again. By this time, Bitty was laughing so much that people kept looking in our direction, wondering what was happening. is that why she was expelled then? Asked Bitty. No, she was not expelled for beating up Bull, as the boy was known. She was discontinued for leading a strike in her second year. Many people agreed that the expulsion was unjustified, but the question of injustice is a thorn in the flesh in this part of the globe. The story goes that Apio led the student strike that followed the removal of their maintenance allowances. Her policy, as one of the student leaders, was that if student allowances had to go, an alternative ought to be put in place. I am sure you have ever heard of that strike and also heard that the government sent in soldiers to quell it. When the soldiers went to campus, they broke into the students' residences, shooting and beating anyone in sight.